Hello. I just finished my book read, The Way of the Warrior, and I said in the end of my video, I said, if I have a thought, I said I might be back tonight if I have a thought that I want to share. And long and behold, less than 5 minutes, I have a thought that I want to share. It's about my mom. So I told you in a prior video that I lost my mom, let's see, 30 years ago? Yeah, it's been about 30 years. 30, because she passed away in 1996. I was 17 years old, and Mom was 36 years old when she passed. And today's her birthday. May 11th is my mom's birthday. She would have been 66 years old today. Yesterday was Mother's Day. So it's always been kind of a, I don't know, I guess a dumpy time for me. Just remembering my mom, the fact that seems like salt in the wound that her birthday falls like right next to Mother's Day. And I started thinking to myself today, because I was talking to God and I cried with him. I always cry with him, but I was thinking and telling him that I really miss her. And I would love to just be able to pick up the phone and call her. And I was telling God that, I've come across so many people that don't want to hang out with their parents. And they talk to their parents, but they kind of like dread it. Like, oh, mom or dad's calling, or I got to call my mom back, or I got to call my dad back. I tend to see that a lot. And I told God, I said, it doesn't matter if mom died or not. I could never be like that. I cherish my parents. I told God, I said, because God knows everything about us. And I said, God, you know that I never actually even wanted to leave home. I still would be living with my dad if it were up to me. And it's not for the lack of adulting. It's just because I cherish having parents. I feel like they're my root system here in this lifetime. And I would want them to be my best friends. I would want to turn to them with everything. I would love to have that close support system with both my parents. But, unfortunately, that's just not the way it worked out. My dad is alive, but we're not close. He's never been close to me. He's kind of he's very standoffish with me. I just, you know what it is? I don't think he understands me. And likewise, I don't understand him, but I am very complex. And, with having a neurodivergent brain and just being sensitive and just being me, it kind of does clash with his personality. Because my dad is very stoic. He's very I don't know, he's a no-nonsense kind of guy. He hates drama. He's just very quiet. He's a man of few words, but with me anyway, I mean, he'll talk the ear off of somebody else, but it just seems like we clash in our personalities a little bit. Even though we don't fight, we're not close. And it makes me a little sad, but I'm getting off track to the point I was trying to make. So my mom, I was talking to God and I wondered to myself, where did it happen in my life? At what point did I get to where I accepted mom's passing? Because it's been 30 years and I have struggled with her loss for many years after she passed. And I'm wondering, when did it happen? When did my brain shift into acceptance mode? I don't know. It just did. It did secretly, I guess. It's one of those things where I just look back and realize, like, wow, I have accepted mom's death. Because being that it's her birthday and being that yesterday was Mother's Day, I'm not going to say I treated it like every other day. Of course I thought about my mom. But I was not in bed all day depressed. I wasn't consumed with grief. I just went on my regular day with her on my mind, but I was still able to go on with my regular day. And I asked myself, when did that start? When did that start happening? Because, you know, the cycle of grief, there is no rules. There is no timeline to grieving. There is no timeline to get to the acceptance phase. Everybody's different. You know, everybody's different. Everyone goes through and handles their grief differently. I am so sensitive that it takes me a long time to get over something that happens that's bad, tragic, sad, things like that. It takes me a long time because it rattles me. It really rattles me. And, you know, since coming to follow Jesus 3 years ago, things have gotten easier for me to get through because I have that assurance that he's there. I have that assurance that no matter what happens going forward, he's right there, and I trust him. How can we not trust God? He's perfect. And yes, things happen and we have trouble in this life, but how can we not trust him that he's going to get us through whatever comes our way? And I want to say that I think I started accepting Mom's passing when I accepted Jesus into my heart 3 years ago. Because I can think of Mom now and smile. And I can think of Mom makes me want to cry. I just envisioned her smiling at me with that smile she has. You know, a friend once told me recently that when people pass away, when our loved ones pass away, we're the ones that are sad because it's a loss for us. We can't see them anymore. We can't talk to them anymore. We can't hear their voices anymore. But see, she told me that she thinks one of the reasons why there's only joy and no sadness in heaven is because she thinks that maybe they can see everything. They're not missing us because they can see us. They may have left us, but they may have left us. Or we may have left them, but they never left us. If that makes any sense. You know, we're on this side of the veil where, you know, we're in this realm and we miss them and we grieve them because obviously they're not around anymore. But my friend said maybe they're not sad in heaven because they're looking down at us. Not that they're down here wandering around in spirit, but maybe God gives them glimpses of us from time to time. And it's like they don't miss us because they still see us. They still hear us. It's like they never left us on their end of the deal, you know? And when she said that, I put that into perspective and I was like, that's a really comforting thought. That's a really comforting thought to think that maybe our loved ones can see us after they pass. Not that they're, like I said, wandering around down here. Not that we can conjure up their spirit or anything woo-woo like that. That's a no-no. We go to God. We just go straight to God with everything. We don't talk to dead people. Or we don't try to communicate, I guess you could say, with the dead. But I always tell God, you know, like when I have a message for my brother or my mom or my grandparents or my uncle, or anybody that I love that I've lost, I'll tell God to give them a message for me. I still tell him to give my brother a bunch of noogies for what he did to me and how he left me the way he did. But I sat there today knowing that it's Mom's birthday and knowing that yesterday was Mother's Day. And I looked up, I said, wow, I got through this easy peasy. But it's because God. It's that peace that surpasses all understanding. And I wonder to myself what my life would be like had I accepted Jesus and followed him a lot sooner than 2023. But I think we have to go through things that lead us to Jesus. We all have a different path and we all have a different timeline. Some people don't find Jesus until they're in their 70s, 80s, and 90s. I found him when I was 44. Right? Yeah. No, 42. 43. I'm not mathing tonight. I found Jesus. I followed him when I was 43. Actually, he found me. We found each other. He took my hand. Let's just say that. And I took his. And we said, let's do this. And I said, okay. And he said, I got you. And I said, good, because I need you. And he said, good. I know you do. I've been waiting. So, I'm not there with my brother yet. I'm not to that acceptance phase yet with my brother. It's going to take a long while. When a loved one takes their life, it's a different grief. It's deep. It's really deep. It's so painful. You can feel it physically in your stomach. You can feel it in your throat. It's that pain that just gnaws at you. And you gotta that's, one of the reasons why I'm reading this book, The Way of the Warrior. The inner path, the ancient, what does it say on the front? An ancient path to inner peace. The biblical approach to inner peace. Jesus is peace. And I think this book is really going to help me get to the acceptance phase of my brother no longer being here. I know that we all die. I know that we all are going to come to the end. But my brother, it wasn't his time yet, in my opinion. He wasn't allowed to make that choice. But he did. And that's not fair. He cheated. He cheated in the race. He took himself out, and the race wasn't over yet. And he took himself out when I wasn't looking. And I understand why that would cause a lot of anger, but it didn't anger me. It just brought on more sadness. Because to think of him being in that much pain, that he took himself out of the race completely. He can't get back in the race. He's done. I needed him as my race buddy, and now I'm alone. I feel alone anyway. I know I have my husband, and I know I have my son. These two people in my life are the two people in my life, in my family, that I'm closest with, and I'm grateful for both of them. They love me very much. I love them very much, but it's different without my brother. It's just different. I lost my buddy. I lost somebody that we shared the same womb, and we had a bond. And he left without, it's going to take a while, but maybe this book will help me. I guess I'll find out at the end, at the end of the book, if I feel any closer to the acceptance phase, because I'll tell you what, it's been 4 years, and I'm still not there yet. Not that it's like a time crunch or a time sensitive situation where I have to get to the acceptance phase in a certain amount of time, but it would be nice. It would be nice to be able to just think about my brother and not feel the way I do. Not feel that pain, you know? So I did put in my description of this channel that I do talk about grief and loss, because I know all about grief and loss. And there's more loss that I've had in my life that I still haven't even told you about, that were tragic, that were traumatizing, that have just left long-lasting scars on me. And sometimes they open back up. They don't stay closed. So every day I carry that with me, and I know the Lord tells us to cast our burdens onto Him because He cares for us. And I try to cast my burdens onto Him, but for some reason they come back or something. I don't know. I guess they're just new. They're not new burdens either. They're just, I'm trying so hard to just give it all. Give all of my burdens to the Lord, but I still feel them. But you know, maybe the Lord is teaching me something through this process. You know, just giving somebody something without dealing with it first, without the closure, I guess you could say. Maybe that's what He's trying to teach me. I need closure to these burdens before He takes it from me, because I'm trying to give it to Him, and so far I still feel Him. God is a good teacher. Jesus is the best teacher ever. I can't wait to see His face. He's the best. And if you haven't yet accepted Him into your life as your Lord and your Savior and your best friend, you're missing out. All you got to do is call on His name and He's right there. He's knocking at your door, waiting to come in. Invite Him in. He'll change your life. He'll take you places that you never thought you'd go. He'll teach you things and show you things and make you cry a lot, even though you're not sad. It's because you just feel the Holy Spirit, you know? You feel His presence. And it's a beautiful thing. So before I start crying, because I think that's so embarrassing, crying on video. Anyway, I'll let you go. But I guess in a long-winded way, that was me saying that I think I finally accepted my mother's loss, the loss of my mother. And it's because of God. It's because Jesus got me here to this point. And accepting their death doesn't mean that you stop caring. It just means that you're finally at peace with it. You know, because God ultimately is the one in control, not us. So, thanks for listening. I appreciate you. I'll see you on the next video.